Today, we're talking with Helen Chong, who's the team leader of the Haylen Group here at Real Broker. The Haylen Group does both residential and commercial and has sold homes as high as $63 million in value. Helen has been an agent for over 20 years, including 7 years running her own independent brokerage. Today, we'll be talking to her about what her secrets are to breaking into the luxury real estate market and what the difference is between working with a typical client versus a ultra luxury client. Helen, how you doing today?
Hey, I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So let's start from the ground floor here. So if you're a typical residential real estate agent, what does it take in order to break into the luxury market? What is your advice for somebody who wants to get into luxury real estate?
I would really say that you have to make sure you arm yourself with a lot of good education and
Okay.
knowledge.
Mhm.
This is a part of the luxury real estate that not just being a good salesperson can break into, but because the clientele obviously is a little bit different, right? They're very highly educated, and probably some of these clients have run sales team before, so they know all the sales lingo. But
Mhm.
they want to know, are you smart enough, and how much time you're going to be able to dedicate to get things done, and the network that you have and your negotiation skill. They look at your communication skill as well. So I would say really important if you really want to break into luxury real estate, definitely arm yourself with a lot of knowledge, a lot of education, so that your client will not question whether you understand real estate or not.
I love that answer. So there's a quote from Alex Ramosi that I love where he talks about if you want to appear smarter in meetings,
Mm,
do more preparation.
yes.
If you double the amount of time that you spend on prepping, maybe 2 hours instead of an hour, you're just going to appear the smartest person ever when you actually have those meetings. And it sounds like you're kind of echoing that as well by just kind of learning the market. What what
Yeah.
what kind of stats does somebody need to learn? Is it more about homes, or is it about the area, or just like real estate in general?
I would say everything, even about macroeconomic stuff, whether what the economy is doing. Because at the end of the day, you're helping them to make decisions, and you need to understand where the market is going, the market trends. You need to understand a little bit of the political environment and how that can affect the real estate market or
Mhm.
the economy in general. So a lot of our conversation is really not just like, oh, how well do you know this specific neighborhoods? It's really like, do you really understand this economy, and then what is the best time? I need someone to strategize for me. So they need to know that you actually understand the whole big picture, not just about this particular neighborhood and this like only about like how to look at a home in terms of the architecture and all that stuff. The conversation goes a lot more wider than that.
Yeah. Oh, interesting. How would you, is it the experience different when working with a luxury buyer than working with, a more modest price buyer? Like, do you bring them water when you go on showings, or do you do something different when you actually showing them the property, or is that part pretty much the
Mhm.
same regardless of price point?
Yeah, I would say very similar. But of course, sometimes like higher price point buyers would have a little bit more, um, I don't want to say demand, but then like you want, so when the high price point buyers, they have very busy schedule.
Hmm.
And not that lower price point, they're not busy, but like it's a different level of busyness, right? They have so many things going on in their heads. They probably have a secretary and assistant that help them organize stuff. So our job is really to make sure we organize all the things, their itinerary and the information of the properties. We build spreadsheets, even like with inspection. Trust me, like with inspection report, when we are putting the list of repairs, like requests for repairs, it was 200 line items with what is the problem, what is the solution, what are we proposing, with all the pictures, everything. Is like you
Wow.
have to organize in such detail for them to make sure that you are helping them to make decision quickly, not just talk about it. You need to provide actual presentation.
Okay, yeah, no, that's actually really helpful. So instead of just like emailing them a PDF, like, "Hey, did you get the PDF?" Like, no, no, hey, I read the entire PDF. Here's my recommendations broken out by line items and what I
Yep.
think you should request. That really is a higher level of service than I think some agents provide for other clients. And what
Yeah.
about your listing presentation? Is your listing
Mm.
presentation going to be significantly different?
Surprisingly not. The
Okay.
listing price presentation is really not that much of a difference. I think again, when they choose you, typically they already know who you are in terms of like the reputation and the brand that you have. But they just want to know how's your communication style, what is your network, what is your connections, how are you going to work hard for me? That's what they know. That's what they want to know. So the listing presentation is really not that much that much different compared to any other listing presentation.
Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Yeah.
What advice would you have for someone who wants to break into the luxury market? So let's say their average price point right now is 1 million. They want to get to 10 million as their average price point. What can somebody do to kind of increase that average price point in the market?
Again, I think it goes back to obviously it's a completely different network of people that you deal with, including not just the clientele, but then agents, right? The agent network for that price point is different. How do you make sure that you gain the respect from the luxury real estate agents who's been around? They know each other, they know each other's name, they know their family, and then you come in as a newbie, and who are you? So you have to prove again, even with the agents, you have to prove themselves that you you are you are able to work really hard to fight for that listing. You are able to really have you have a lot of knowledge, and then do everything very carefully. Again, I don't know how many times I have to emphasize this, is that as much as we are salespeople, but you really your sales skill is not enough at all.
Mm,
Practicing your script is not enough at all. You have to show your true knowledge and education experience level. Um, Not that brand new agent cannot do it in the luxury real estate market, and I have met some brand new agent who just jump right into luxury real estate market, but they hustle. They truly hustle. They door knock. There's no shortcut into it, and the higher of the price point you want to get into, the harder it is for you to make that paycheck within the period of time, because the clientele and audience is also so much smaller. It might sound so cool to have that $10 million listing, but that might take a year to sell versus
right.
$1 million, it takes a month to sell. So for us, that's why we are still very much like doing smaller deal and a bigger deal, because the turnover is so much faster, while the 10 million and up deals, they take quite a bit of negotiation and months of negotiation and months of marketing. Easily could be a year of transaction before you can close.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point that maybe you get a $1 million buyer and it's a 3 month turnaround versus a $10 million buyer. That's a year and a
Hmm.
half turnaround before you actually get a commission like this. You kind of need both of those just to kind of keep that business running.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
what would you say your average work day looks like? Like when you wake up to you go to bed, like what does your average work day look like?
Constantly talking.
Yeah.
If it's not with my clients, will be with my team members or with my staff, operations staff. I'm always in meetings, and then during my downtime, that's when I catch up with obviously family stuff. I have a downtime with my family, but I also put in time to listen to the news. I want It goes back to earlier what I was talking about. You need to know what's going on
Mhm.
in the world and the economy, macroeconomic stuff. So yeah, not just even US, you need to understand globally what's going on. Give you an example, if somebody said like, hey, I know that you can speak Chinese, and maybe you can bring some Chinese clients over. I'm like, the economy in China is not doing very well right now, and you can't really get the money out right now. So doesn't mean that just because I know there are a lot of very wealthy Chinese buyers who would like to invest here, mean that they will come out right now at this moment, because the economy over there is not good. So I do a lot of like the meetings with clients, meetings with team members, and then learning about what's going on in the news, and globally and locally.
Yeah, that's a really interesting point. Just being more educated about the global economics as well as the US economics. Yeah, I could definitely see that being really valuable, especially if you're trying to advise somebody on investing with commercial as
Mhm.
well. So let's say for some reason you could only work 1 hour a day. what do you think, what would you spend that 1 hour a day doing? So like, how would you prioritize like your highest return of investment of your time with that 1 hour?
You know, that's a very interesting question. If I only have 1 hour a day, I love educating. I probably would want to just g- do a presentation and a webinar, and
Yeah.
then just talk about the macroeconomic stuff and how's it impacting the real estate, what I'm seeing the market trend is, and and have a webinar that I can talk to an expert and just all about the real estate market and the economy. I used to do that once a month. That is like my best day ever. I get so excited and happy after that 1 hour webinar. I just felt like, oh my God, I'm like venting, letting out all this information, education, and I just love that.
Yeah. Okay. That'd be a really cool thing to spend your time on. In terms of like personal development, do you have any favorite business books or favorite podcasts or favorite resources that you could recommend to somebody to grow their business?
You know, I don't really listen to podcasts. For books, actually, I love those leadership type of books, maybe
Mhm.
because of my position here within my team, and also, as I mentioned earlier, I'm a part of CCIM, so I'm on the leadership board as well. So I love talk about real estate. I'm just like looking back because I have all these leadership books here. Um, this is the Leadership Challenge is one of the books I really like.
Okay.
I was a part of the JWL Leadership Academy within CSIM, and this is the book that we kind of follow how to work with a team with different personality and what does it mean to be a leader. I think a lot of people always think that leader is the strongest person, right? But it is okay to also show some vulnerability sometimes to let your team members know that you are human and they actually respect you more, to understand that being a leader can be very lonely. So that will be the book that I recommend. If somebody like a team leader who's building a team, this is a book to go.
Yeah, great. What was it called again? The Leadership Challenge?
The Leadership Challenge.
Okay, good. I'm always looking for good book recommendations. And so we're now in February 2025. What is like your big focus now in 2025 moving forward?
Well, especially we just joined Real not too long ago, like a little bit over a year. Oh, sorry, a little bit over a month. It's been only a little over a month, and what we are doing a lot more is like we're expanding our team. We're trying to bring in more of team members who are in the same mindset as us, who can fit into our culture, who really want to elevate this real estate industry and expand because we do NorCal and SoCal right now, and I see that our business opportunities could be really nationwide, especially after plug ourselves into the real network. So I am really think that this year is a year that where we would love to grow our team to a few more. Not I'm not one of those team leader that I want to grow
Right.
20 agents right within a year, but I just really want to find those few good agents to be a part of our family.
Yeah, absolutely. So expansion and growth. I love it. Well,
Yeah.
Helen, if anybody wanted to follow you on social media, like what's the best platform to follow you on?
So we are active on Instagram and also Facebook. You can just search Haylen Group Real Estate or Haylen Group on Facebook. And yeah, you can just connect with us over there. We are obviously we are also on YouTube and TikTok. Uh, Personally, I don't post as much about my personal life anymore, but I used to do that quite a bit. And now I'm just really focusing on connecting with my clients and my team members.
Okay, so the Halen Group is what they got to look up. All right,
Hmm.
Helen. Well, thanks so much for your time. It was a great conversation. I think I learned a lot about luxury.